Goeiemôre al julle pragtige mense, all you lovely people on this morning. The 1st of July, can you believe it? 2026, the 1st of the 7th. Some good numbers in the date. But it's the 1st of July, 6 months have come and gone. It's like, getting old isn't for sissies, I'm telling you that. Before you know it, it's another year gone, just gone, right? Today we're going to speak about an important subject, illegal immigrants. We're going to focus on that. And we'll say a few things about that while we're having some coffee. These Kumbooks, they give you these, they don't give it to you, you have to pay for it, but they have these lovely mugs. And it keeps your coffee lekker warm, man. And especially in the mornings when I talk a lot, I need something like this. And one has to make sure that you don't just drink and drink and drink. You have to clean it every now and then. No, we cleaned it yesterday. And so it's clean this morning. Then I got a few other Kumbooks mugs that I love. I've got enough mugs now. I can have coffee with about 7 or 8 people with my mugs. Hot, very hot. Good, we're going to speak about illegal immigration. And I will greet the people as they come up. Now, we've seen what happened yesterday. There was a mass call for rising up to get rid of illegal immigration and all these immigrants. But some of the places that flared up, it wasn't really much of a flare up. It was just like a little bit of a wind that came and went, like with a baby. Some of the groups, as we knew what would happen, they tried to steal. I think there was one area that was mentioned yesterday over the radio here in Pretoria, where they tried to steal. But we know this is what happens, you see. The crime, the guys who do crime continuously, they make their living from crime. They only join crowds, protest actions, etc., to steal. That's all they do. And I can bet you, guaranteed, that in some of the marches that these people had, there were illegal immigrants in the march. Guaranteed. They look like a Xhosa, or they look like a Zulu, or they look like... And I guarantee that they were part of the march, they were in the march. So, we're going to have a look at all of that. Not all of that, but we're going to look at some of that today through this topic. It's important to understand, to note that deporting millions of people cannot be done without significant economic disruption. That's an important point to understand, right? So when you deport millions of people, you've got to do this systematically. A lot of economic disruption, loss of informal labor, and humanitarian risk. You know that we've decided not to use the word human anymore, right? The most feasible comprehensive procedure usually involves a regularization period first to shrink the illegal pool by legalizing those who qualify, followed by strict enforcement period against those who are not eligible. Now, the bottom line is we want to get these people out as soon as possible, right? They need to get out as soon as possible. That's the bottom line. And we need to do that. This is often a 5 to 10 year project rather than an immediate action. Now, you've heard some of my speeches where I said I was just going to warn them and then they got to run, right? It doesn't actually work like that. Some of them will go immediately, others will not. So, okay, how do we go about routing them out of their shacks and their hiding places and stuff like that? How do we get rid of these illegal immigrants? Now, we are looking at what is currently happening and what we're going to change, right? Based on recent events in South Africa, there is a clear established operational model for conducting such operations. The model that they're trying to use to get rid of these people, it works, but it only works with a few people, right? It involves coordinated multi-agency raids that integrate documentation checks, arrests, and demolitions. Right, Andrew, good morning. These things we have to execute much faster and at a larger scale. Good, so there's legal things to consider, and obviously when there's a new change of regime, these legal things will change, right? Operational procedure, a coordinated assault. We cannot just do this willy-nilly. We have to prepare and then we have to do, right? We have to prepare, then we have to do. One of the very few first things that you do is, once there is regime change, right, on national television, you say to the illegal immigrants, we're coming for you next. You don't tell them when, you don't tell them how. You just say to them, we're coming for you next. What will happen is they will either hide or they will flee, right? So we want the first lot of them to flee as soon as possible. Get out of the country. Now, a routing operation isn't a chaotic sweep. We don't just go crazy, right? It has to be follow a specific template, a phased template. Remember, when there's a regime change, there's such a lot that's going to be going on. We're going to have such a lot going on that we have to be really clear, concise, precise, surgical in what we do. We have to be surgical, right? So, let's take, for example, let's go through the following. First of all, intelligence-led raids. Operations are conducted unannounced at identified informal settlements to maximize impact and to rout out criminality. So these things have to happen at the same time, okay? Now, when we get to intelligence-led raids, we have to understand that we have to have, Jan, good morning, we have to have a peacekeeping force that's already in place, or even partly in place. Keep the police busy while we are changing from police to peacekeeping. Keep them busy, right? Until there's a change. And that's important. Because it means that we don't have to immediately just first build a peace force. We do it bit by bit. We do it intelligently. Right? Then we have a multi-agency task force. The operation brings together the full force of the state, whether it be the city police and the SAPS, as I mentioned, to provide security, enforce laws, and manage the scene. The Department of Home Affairs, the current Department of Home Affairs, which will also change eventually. Officials are present on site to verify documentation and process those without legal status. Then we have private contractors, as they call them here in South Africa, the red ants. We get those red ants, right? Private eviction company, often brought in to demolish structures. We do the same. We get them in to demolish structures, right? I don't want to see a shack in South Africa with zinc ever again after we've taken over. There will be nothing like that, ever. And it's going to take one heck of an operation to get that done. From the building of houses to the removal of these old things, right? It's going to be one heck of an operation. But clean up, we're going to clean up. On-site screening and separation. Residents are immediately screened and separated into groups. Documentation. South African citizens and legal foreign nationals are identified, undocumented. Those without papers are immediately detained and transported for processing. Immediate demolition and arrest. Shacks belonging to undocumented individuals are dismantled on the spot. The undocumented occupants are arrested for contravening the Immigration Act and transported to the Home Affairs Office for potential deportation. Right? Look what Andrew said here. I must get his company, Iron Fist Security Services. Awesome. Well, ours is Sword Shield Security. That's part of the Federal Alliance, Andrew. Perhaps you want to take over that branch. Rudy, good morning. Perhaps you want to take over that branch, right? I'll give you the job. You don't only run your own security service, you run the whole country's security services. Right? How's that? You want the job? Give it to you. I'll give it to you. I'll send you documentation that you can work through and see where you want to bring changes. Remember, this is only for when we take over. Right? But you can prepare now if you want. It's your choice. So there's the immediate demolition and arrest. Then we have to have a cautionary tale here. The reality of the implementation. This is important. Executing this without proper procedure has severe legal and human consequences. Well, when it comes to the legal consequences, first of all, that department we're going to be taking over. So legally, you broke the law, you came into the country unlawfully, get the hell out. That's it. That's legal. Okay? And then sovereign people's consequences. People, excuse me, people have established lives in South Africa. That's why there has to be a fine line between just simply deporting them. You have to understand where they are at. Questions need to be asked. But if I look at this informal settlement, the one informal settlement that's here in the Woodlands area, Pretoria, you have these women, they could be Malawian or they could be Nigerian or whatever, but they make these brooms and these feather dusters and stuff like that, and they sell them at the traffic lights, right? They sell them there. These people are not, they are not here to benefit us. They're not here to benefit us, right? There's no benefit for them being here. The benefit is only for them. They can make those things and sell them in their own country. Or they can take a stand in their own country and change their country. So there's no benefit for us. But let's take, for example, you have an illegal pairing that came in, say, 2005, right? Now they have a son or a daughter that's 20 years old, born in South Africa, gone through South African schools, and the couple, they've got decent jobs. They are benefiting the economy. That is something else. So there's a fine line, there's a balance that has to be adhered to, right? Things, for example, like you cannot get a South African ID or a South African passport, but you can get an exemption. And after the exemption, after a period of time, if we see that you are still benefiting the nation, then you can stay. But there are hundreds and thousands and millions of them that are not here for that. They just flood the borders every day. Lofty, good morning. They just flood the borders every day. And they are here absolutely illegally. Right? And they're not here to benefit the country, they're here to benefit themselves. So, there's something happening out there. It's called the consent trap. Authorities have been accused of pressuring residents to consent to removal, bypassing the need for a court order. There will be a blanket court order. Right? Get rid of them. This is the procedure. This is the operation. Forget about the courts. Do the job. Right? Do the job. So currently, this has obviously been condemned in South Africa as coercion. Then there's witness deportation. This is also an important thing to consider. In one case, undocumented residents who were key witnesses to a deadly building fire were arrested and deported. You guys know about that situation, which was argued in court as an attempt to remove their testimony. So if there is any people that are key witnesses to any type of crime, there'll be a window of opportunity for them to stick around. Because what is our main focus? What is our main aim? Is to get rid of corruption, get rid of crime, change the nations, nations, not just nation, right? Then you have things like exclusion from relocation. If you take them out of an informal settlement, but they have exclusion, they are excluded from relocation, you need to be able to settle them somewhere else. So that is another pain that has to be taken into consideration. We have to have a whole housing body that can take care of these things when the time comes. So all these things have to be set in place before you blow the whistle, right? Now, currently the law requires a sheriff of the court to supervise an eviction. In a recently high-profile raid in Sandton, no sheriff was present, making the operation's legality questionable. Now, in our situation, whether there's a sheriff present or not, it's not going to matter. All right? There's going to be a task to do, there's going to be a sifting, and there's going to be deportations. Plenty. As I said, we have to get rid of the legal framework is unavoidable red tape, but we'll have to bypass that immediately when we make our own laws. We're not even going to have a court order. We're not even going to need a court order for demolition. We're just going to demolition. I can't get the right English word, but we are going to destroy it. Right. We will give them, look, there'll be a window of opportunity for them to sell their stuff. Right? You don't just allow these people to go in and steal. Our whole aim is to prevent corruption and to prevent crime. So what you'll do is you'll give them ample warning. Ample warning. Give them the opportunity to sell their stuff. Right. So we have to do a mass registration and audit, conduct a comprehensive on-site verification with Home Affairs to identify the legal status of all residents. Separate processing, arrest and process all undocumented individuals, but ensure they have their day in court. Not necessary. Remember, I built this document concerning the situation that we are in currently. Provide alternative accommodation, I mentioned that, and then demolition. So that is the short and sweet of it, right? It's an absolute operational procedure, a coordinated assault. Not just a little bit here, a little bit there. It's a coordinated assault. And if we have to clean it state by state, we'll do it state by state. If we don't have enough boots on the ground to do it, comprehensively, the whole of South Africa, we'll do it state by state. And even if you just start with one state, the rest of the illegals in the other states, they'll make a plan to get the hell out. Right? So let's have a look at the following. Now, we have to prevent this illegal immigration, this crossing the border, etc. While official statistics, Tola, wat sê jy? While official statistics on undocumented migrants are often disputed, the scale of the challenge means any solution would need to be multi-layered, beyond just a single deportation drive. Based on international best practices for post-conflict or regime change stabilization, a comprehensive procedure would likely have to follow a phased process. Or a phased approach. You know what's the best approach? You close the borders and you mine the borders. Right? Anti-personnel mines from A to Z. And you put up fences. It's the first thing you do. And you warn them. Cross, you're going to die. Right? We don't want wild animals to step on these mines and be blown up as well. Now I'm just thinking out of the box. I'm just thinking, right? I'm just hypothetically thinking. And I have basically gates in and out. That's it. Right? But, however, we have to look at this from a more sane point of view. So we have legal rebuilding and state of emergency the first 90 days. There's suspension and audit. Immediately suspend existing asylum and permit systems to conduct a full audit. Declare a temporary moratorium on new applications to clear the backlog, right? Then the border lockdown, deploy military assets to hot zones, ports of entry and high traffic illegal crossing points like Swaziland, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, right? While civilian border guards handle routine crossings, we can use our security forces. This often involves a temporary hard closure to prevent a rush of entries ahead of policy changes. So it's a hard closure. You cannot come in. If you're not a South African, you cannot come in, right? Phase 2, registration, verification, and documentation. This can take 3 to 12 months. We need a massive biometric registration. Establish a compulsory nationwide biometric registration system. Fingerprints, facial recognition. For all present in the country, citizens and non-citizens alike. This is important. This will stamp out crime in such a way. Now, I understand the individual's rights to freedom. I understand that, right? But if we don't have a mugshot, and if we don't have fingerprints, and your neighbor kills your wife, and we don't know who's this person, we have to go through forensic procedures after forensic procedure. You guys know what I'm talking about. So we need a database that does not only have non-citizens, but also has citizens. So we can separate the chaff from the wheat. It's biblical, actually. So, without this, you cannot differentiate between legal and illegal populations. You just can't, right? Then you have universal work or residence permits. I spoke about that kind of. Require all foreign nationals to present themselves to one-stop centers to have their status verified. Those with valid asylum or work rights would be issued a new high-security transitional permit. This would create a clear paper trail, right? Clear paper trail. Show me your transitional permit. So if there's any complaints, you have a Zimbabwean working in your yard, there's a complaint, you can take out his permit, right? Phase 3. The identification and removal process. This can take up to 36 months, up to 3 years. The employer sanctions model, that's why we are subtle in saying get out. Get out, right? Right from the word go. These illegal immigrants must know that they are on the hit list. Okay? And you do it with various ways. First of all, on national television. You just simply say, our next focus will be on illegal immigrants. And we are going to give them a certain time to get their affairs in order and get the hell out of the country. We're giving them time. Right? Then we're going to say things like the following. Even if you're an illegal immigrant, within 3 months you are found and you between the ages of 18 and 28, you'll be drafted into the South African Defence Force. I don't care if you're a Pakistani, a Chinese, or a black man from Africa. You'll be drafted into the South African Defence Force. Immediately, you're going to see airports being flooded, right? Like what happened in Russia, for example. That's what Putin said. If you're illegal, or if you're an immigrant and you haven't been in the Russian army, then you're going to join the Russian army and you're going to fight in the Ukraine. Those guys lined up the airports, man. They couldn't get out of there fast enough. So you give them those opportunities to get out before you do a sweep, before you do an assault, right? You give them opportunity. We don't need, you have the employer sanctions model, for example. Criminalize the employment. So it's very easy. In the business sector, you say if you are found to have these people on your books and employing these people, you will have to pay 50% of your profit, whatever is in your bank accounts. We're going to drain you. 50%. Think about it. The harsher the penalty, the quicker the release. The quicker the release. The harsher the penalty, the quicker the release. These guys are going to say, what? 50% of my business? My business will go down the toilet. Right? Yes. Immediately, they'll start getting rid of staff that are not South African. It will happen that very moment. It will happen that very, very moment. If you are found to have employees in your business that is not a South African citizen, that does not have the proper papers, that came here illegally, if you have one such a person in your business, we will take 50% of your profit immediately out of your bank accounts. Freeze your assets, whatever we have to do. All right? I'm telling you now, within an hour, people that are working for these type of companies will be fired immediately. And they won't be able to run to courts. Oh, I was illegally fired. No, you got here illegally. So now you're getting the hell out. Legally. But here's the thing. If an employer has such a person in his employee, an employee in his employment, man, I'm getting confused with all these terms. If he has such a person working for him, let's speak plain Afrikaans and Engels, right? If he has such a person working for him, now the person has been working for 6 months and they haven't been paid, right? And that employer lets that person go without giving them their due. That employer will also suffer. You're not going to get away with, oh, now I can save some money for this month and get rid of these people. No. If you work, you eat. Kyk wat sê Rudy hierso, 'n boer moes gister 250,000 boete betaal vir 20 illegals. Hy moet gelooi word, man. Hy moet gelooi word. Right? That's fair. 250,000 is still nothing. So take his freaking farm. Right? But is he scared of employing South Africans? Is he scared of employing South Africans? No. He's employing illegals because he has to pay them less. 'n sakkie meel en 'n stukkie vleis. En dan kry jy nog boerekaskanades ook. So yes, we nail them. We nail them hard and fast. We fast track the immigration as much as possible, right? Then we can have phased repatriation. We can say, okay, we're taking Zimbabwe first, or Mozambique first, or Lesotho, or wherever, for a phased return of their citizens. And that goes for Sothos and Swazis. Right? Have you guys seen Bloemfontein lately? I'm telling you, there's more Sothos in Bloemfontein than what there's white people. That's a boer city. There's more Sothos there than white people. And it's not legal Sothos. I'm telling you, it's illegal Sothos. They're going to have the same warning. They can go back to Lesotho. And Lesotho can become a state in the Federal Alliance. They can join. They have a king. They have a king. They don't have to give up their sovereignty as a nation. They can keep that. But they become part of the federal umbrella. Right? That will give them legal status. But they will not have the benefits of the Free State. They'll only have the benefits of Lesotho if they are living in Lesotho. Right? Those things I've explained already in a different video. So we give them, I don't know why we put this here, offer assisted voluntary return pack. No, we don't. You came in with nothing, you leave with what you made and you go. There's no voluntary return packages. Your country must take care of you. Get rid of them, right? Then we have a long-term border protection and enforcement. If the nation joins, let's say Zimbabwe joins us. Zimbabwe has got 3 or 4 major tribes, right? The Shangaan and what's the other one? The Matabele. And there's another one. If these guys, if they join us as a sovereign nation, but with states, self-determination states within their nation, under the federal umbrella, then there's a different situation that takes place. Then border controls change. But up until that time, it's lockdown. Right? So, and then we need border management agency reform, overhaul the border management agency with a unified command structure, integrating customs, immigration, and police into a single force with direct arrest powers, right? Direct arrest powers. Exit controls, enforce strict exit checks at all land borders and airports. Currently, the movement in and out of the SADC region is often unchecked, ensuring everyone who enters, leaves, or creates a closed loop. It's very important. You come in, we know who you are, we know where you're going, and we know when you're leaving. Right? You know those irritational little forms that we fill in when we go to Namibia. They're about this big. You can hardly see, but you have to fill in every little detail. What plane or what car you came in, the registration number, even how much money you're going to spend there, maybe. I always put a figure of 2,000. We never do that. All right, either over or under, whichever. Well, never under, but either. But we always, we just fill it in the normal way. Your ID number, your passport number, the date of issue of your passport. It's a pain, but it's effective. It's effective. Then you have technology, integration, deploy drones, ground sensors, a unified electronic database at borders to detect, track, and intercept, rather than just patrol. Detect, track, and intercept, rather than just patrol. Why is this important? Because one of the things that we are going to do is we're going to stamp out Islam. All right, this is an ungodly religion with their own ideas of domination and Sharia law and that type of stuff. So if we get rid of Islam, these monkeys from outside will want to try come in and blow us up, because that's what they do. All right, that's what they do. But we're going to embarrass them first on national television and prove to the world that their religion is false before we eradicate it. So we need border patrols, border checks. If he looks freaking olive, he's going to be checked and double checked. Checked flipping 15 times. What's he doing here? Why is he in South Africa? Who's he visiting? Etc., etc. It will be such a pain for them to come here. You'll have to be a genuinely good rugby player to make it. Right? The only way to get into South Africa is if you are doing well at sports. Or if you're a genuine tourist. You can prove it. In any case, we'll get there. It's important to note that deporting millions cannot be done without significant economic disruption. I started the chat with that introduction. So immigration is an important thing. We need to get them out. We've seen the results of illegal immigrants, even Mexicans making drug labs, Nigerians heavy into prostitution and drugs in Pretoria. These, I guarantee you, some of these contractors, these contractor gangs that we have, water stealing gangs, electricity cable stealing gangs, I guarantee you that a lot of these are outsiders. A lot of these are outsiders. The older generation of South Africans, the older African and Caucasian, South Africans, blanket. We understand what this country was and what it's been changed to. We understand that. So your normal South African, right? He will want to go back to the time when there was better freedom, there was more work, there was more prosperity. And things were working. So I guarantee you that most of these criminal activities, or a good percentage of it, is illegal immigrants. And we're going to clean house. The Lord knows if the Federal Alliance comes in, we're going to clean house. And next week I'll give you a better indication of where we are. I'm going to end up with this now. Our meeting is now has been changed. Our meeting is next week, early next week. So that will be the beginning of the formulation of the Volksstaat, the Boer state, which is crucial for negotiation. It's crucial for negotiation, right? And so we will have that meeting early this coming week, and then we'll take it from there, and I'll keep you guys up to date. So let's do this. Join the Federal Alliance of Southern Africa. It's not difficult to join, all right? Fill in the form. Fill in the form. Give me your details. It's $56 a month. But you never lose. If you want to know more, ask me more. You never lose. Right? We are Freelanders, Vryburgers, eerste. Then we are Boers, Englishmen, Irish, Scottish, Venda, Paddy, you name it. And only with God is unity strength. Never forget that. Only with God is unity strength. Have a fabulous Wednesday. All right? All the best. Until next time.